Hi everyone.
Hello, gang.
We're back, boys.
We're back, boys. I'm back, boys.
It's been
California.
it's been a few weeks since we've seen you on the channel.
It is, yeah. It's true.
Busy with lots of things, bit of work, bit of travelling.
A bit of work and a bit of travelling, yeah. Sort of even spreads, and just slowly waiting for our phenomenal Ludum Dare results to reveal them.
But yeah, now I think the plan pretty much going forward from here is that we're going to start making a game on stream, right?
Yeah, that would ideally be the next thing we pursue properly.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Once we've got it nailed down and maybe got at the very loose design.
Which is something to a design doc, which is something we'll be talking about today.
Yeah.
Hey, Pierre Simon. Before we get to design docs, though, we've got some results to look at. Who's gonna look? Who wants to look, and who wants to read, and who wants to be surprised?
Should we look together?
No, I want someone to read it.
Okay.
Hey, Fishy.
Okay. Should I read it to you?
Sure. I don't mind.
Neither do I.
Should we get a third party in to come and read it to both of us?
No, they'll lie to us. They'll bullshit. Okay, I'll read it to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the categories are overall, fun. Let's get the list up. Overall,
I'm trying not to scroll down yet because I want to see it all at once.
Innovation, theme, graphics, audio, humor, and mood. Do you want to go bottom to top? Scroll slowly up, so we get overall last.
I guess I should give you overall last.
Yeah. Go bottom to top.
Okay, I'll go bottom to top. Should I look now?
From the bottom, yeah.
So exciting.
You can scroll slowly up as well, so you get the reveal as I do.
No, I'm gonna say. Oh god, yeah, I can actually. Okay. I've seen 3 of them. Oops. Okay, so.
Right. Okay.
Mood.
Mm-hmm.
We came. Oh, do you know how many it was out of, first of all?
Out of games?
Do you know how many
there
submissions
was
there
a little over 2,600.
Okay, where do you see all of that?
There was a pie chart that you could access somewhere, but I don't remember how I got to that.
Okay, hang on. Games. Featured event. I don't know what that means. Oh, for this one. Idiot. All. 1 per line. Let's go with 6 per line. Okay, you can't look at. Okay. Never mind. Right, okay, so. Starting with. Mood. Out of 2,600, we got an average of 3.753 from 79 ratings.
It's not actually that bad. 3.75.
Mood is a weird one. I think Mood is the one that I expect us to do worst on. So I'll be interested to see if that's correct.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that.
We came 248th.
Okay. 248th, yeah. Mood is a weird one because I think a lot of people misunderstand it. A lot of people think that mood means moody, like your game has to be dour. A drab, sad game.
It's kind of almost added to balance out the fact that humor's in
it. That's what it feels like. And I did an essay on this a couple of LDs ago about, hey Victoria, hey Steve. Hi sexy gods, wow.
Sexy.
Thank you.
I'll say that.
So yeah, and one of the points that I made in that essay about why I think people misunderstand mood is because it's immediately under humor, which makes it look like it's the opposite of humor. But I really don't think that's how you're supposed to read it. I think the mood is just atmosphere, like a consistent atmosphere. But I think people do think it means often a moody game. So when we've got a nice, upbeat, happy game like we do, I think a lot of people probably rate it down.
Yeah, it's just, did the game make you do a cry?
Yeah. Which is clearly not what we're going for in our game. So I think a lot of people probably will have seen it and gone,
But out of 2,600...
we're still done all right.
Yeah, top 10% for games that make you cry.
Yeah.
So we evoked something. Okay, next.
Made people very sad with how awful our games were. All right, next.
So for
Humor.
we have our first top 100 entry.
Oh, yes.
We are 98th.
Oh, just
I know.
snicked in, which is great considering there weren't many jokes.
There was one joke.
There was
there was an opening cutscene. Oh, and the guy did a dance.
The guy did a dance. There was a bit of an opening cutscene. The game itself had no humor in it, really. I guess the TV was kind of a subversion.
Yeah.
You think you're following a river, it's TV static. That's hilarious.
That's fucking hilarious. So that was 3.83 average.
Nice. Yeah. 98.
Audio.
Not bad.
Audio.
Yeah.
Now this one I am disappointed. I wanted a top 100 finish for audio.
We're not top 100 with audio.
No.
Okay. Because people don't believe you wrote that music.
Because people don't believe I've written it because they hate and my talents. So we came 135th.
Okay.
Still pretty good.
What was the actual score on it?
3.844 average.
3.84.
Which I'm surprised by.
So our game was as funny as it sounded good.
So what that means, people have averaged kind of clicking the 3 or the 4 stars probably, or like 3.5. I'm surprised.
It did feel better than that, didn't it? For an LD game. A lot of them don't even have sound.
Yeah, which is fair. I mean, I don't always expect to do particularly well in these. There's so many good games, but I do think we did a pretty good job in the audio. Graphics. Where are we?
Now, we've not done well on... Graphics is one of our weaker categories in previous LDs. We've always done pixel art in previous LDs, so I suspected maybe people just don't tend to go for the pixel art so much.
We've always done the same kind of pixel art as well.
Yeah.
I don't even think... Do you know what, though? Having looked at World Collectors wins, I think basically a lot of your scores kind of get amalgamated in the same space. Right. So, graphics. We have a 4.1 average from 82 ratings. But that is only getting us to 203rd.
Wow, my prediction was 200. I was 3 off.
So close.
Oh.
It was a good bet actually. And a 4.1 average is that's high. I mean, that's tending towards the the very top end. But I guess a lot of people do rate higher on graphics, and there's a lot of pretty good. So not a top 100.
Fishy says graphics 2,600. Don't you know it?
I do. Theme. Oh, this is the other one we didn't expect to do particularly well on.
Yeah.
And we haven't actually. Yeah. 3.56 average. That's 382nd.
I probably rated 3.5 on just about everyone else's theme on every game I played because
theme is so hard to go for. I wasn't. Theme and mood were the two that I really am not fussed about the placement for.
Yeah, no, theme I don't care about really at all.
I suspect they'll stay the lowest.
Mood I would care about if I knew people weren't actually misunderstanding it.
Yeah, I think theme you can get it right. I don't think we were particularly to theme, but I think we made a fun game instead. Okay, next we have innovation. An average of 3.593 from 77 ratings.
Okay.
That got us 270th.
Okay.
Just squeezed outside of the top 10%. Which actually, it wasn't particularly innovative, I guess.
No, I wouldn't say so.
Okay, next up we have fun. And
it's the big ones.
This is what shocks me, right?
Yeah.
Because actually, I don't think we've done that well. We got an average of 3.763 at 78 ratings, which got us 180th.
Okay.
Now, I don't know that I would consider this game that fun, but it does surprise me that Latvian Milk, which we did do, got 11th.
11th, yeah. That wasn't that fun.
That far removed.
Yeah.
Now, I do suspect is probably there were just more fun games this time round.
Maybe, yeah.
So that's where we're at, 180.
Okay.
And then overall...
The big boy, the overall.
And this is what upsets me the most.
No. Are we not top 100?
104.
Oh, no! 104th, you bastards.
An average of 4-star average. An exact 4 average.
Exact 4 average, okay.
Which is crazy, bearing in mind that's 3 significant figures. We got an exact 4 average.
104th. Oh, you fuckers. Again, it's kind of crazy that we've had 2 other top 100 games when we said this was so clearly our best LD game. No competition, our best LD game. Easily
our best. And do you know what I think actually? Not to... Because, I mean, it's been rated. I think it's fairly rated. Some really good games to solve. But I do think that there is a big disparity in the people that make games playing these versus the people that just play games playing these. Because a lot of the good feedback we got from people like Mike Rose and who was the other developer that was playing it? I can't remember the guy's name, were basically like, this is insanely polished. Which I think a lot of people who just play games aren't going to see. You can see something that's mechanically
Right.
very fun without as much polish, and you're going to enjoy it more.
They
But
can't
things
rate it
like
though if they haven't been making games.
Flash, an opening cutscene,
Yeah.
like a win condition, menus, blended music, things like that. This is stuff that like is fucking hard to get done in 72 hours.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's fair to say, just to give ourselves a little more credit, is that I have seen that some of the teams that have done very well have been really big.
Huge teams. Okay. Yeah.
There's been some, like one of the posts that went up yesterday on the Ludum Diary forums was this guy talking about managing an international team for 8.
Wow. Okay.
And their game was pretty good.
Yep.
I think they'll probably have done better than us, but probably not much better than us. It was called Bloodless.
I know Bloodless. Yeah, I've seen Bloodless.
It was cool. It's like a black and white.
Yeah.
It's a real rip off of another black and white samurai game. It's good though. Like it would play well. But that was 8 people.
Right.
With like 2 dedicated artists, 2 dedicated programmers, a producer. Like they put, I don't think they probably put as much time into it as we did because I think a couple of them had to like go to work.
Right.
But yeah, so we did not crack the
Didn't
top.
break top 100. So close. But
By 4
you know
points.
what? I'm still really happy with it. 100.
Well, I mean, I still think this is easily the best game we've made.
Yeah. Like, regardless of ratings, I think we did very, very well. Like personally speaking, it's still a top 5%. This is now ignoring Thritch because it wasn't a real attempt. This is 3 for 3 top 5% games.
Yeah,
that
and
was
I
made
think
Friday.
you know what, I still think that even just regular rating wise, this is actually really good.
Oops.
But what is interesting is looking at the other games that we've made that have rated well, and like I particularly like seeing Latvian Milk got 11th on fun. Like it is drop and stop fun because it's silly and you get to shoot guns and they make.
I guess, but it's fun that lasts like 30 seconds.
Yeah,
whereas
and
you
it's
can
not
play
like-
buried things
there's
for
no-
like an
there's
hour.
no, there's no complexity to it.
Not
either,
at
right?
all.
Like the enemies just walk towards you.
Yep.
It's basically just it was very juicy. Like had a really good like feel.
Yeah.
But the actual stuff you do and the way you engage with the game is actually way better in that. Like
Yeah.
we know that. So dead interesting. We didn't crack top 100, which is always heartbreaking. But.
Missed by 4. Missed by 4.
So what was our highest rating?
Yeah, what was
Our
the
highest
best
rating
category
was
we got?
Humour, which is really funny to me because
It's barely got any humour in it.
I thought we were going to rate highest on audio, and that's our second highest rating.
Okay.
I'm
Wait,
surprised. we didn't rate
Second
higher on
highest? Is that including overall?
audio. No, overall is our second highest, which is weird. I don't understand that. Well, I guess overall is its own rating. But yeah, but it tends to think that everyone has like said that we are. Actually, our overall score looks like it should be closer to 200. But people liked our game, and then so they dribbled their ratings further down.
It's a weird one, right? Because like the appeal of our game in mechanically sort of doesn't fall into the other categories. Like it's even though it might be good and like entertaining for a while, it's not the kind of gameplay that you necessarily call fun. Because it is more like methodical than that, and fun feels more active. Fun has energy.
I agree. I wouldn't consider like I can see why Latvian did do that. Like I get why it did. As much as I think it's weird that it did. I would have also probably rated a game like that higher on fun, especially as like a drop and play gamer, not necessarily as like a dev. In fact, no, even as a dev, I'd jump into like a top-down shooter that had like good juicy sound effects. And I'm like, that was really fun. I really enjoyed that few minutes I just had. Whereas a game like this, a lot of people didn't enjoy right straight away. Like no one didn't enjoy Latvian. No one doesn't enjoy a top-down shooter. But there are people that are looking at this and be like, this is not my kind of game. Which I don't think you get with very simple models of game like shooters and racing games. They're just all fun. Whereas a puzzle game, and specifically like one that you can play very wrong, which you really can't with Latvian either.
Yes.
Like Latvian doesn't even have a button that switches your gun to the fun guns. It just makes sure you get one after a while. Like with this, like you can just walk around a desert randomly hitting buttons if you don't try and engage with the game. So in terms of like actually, which is the reason I thought audio would do best, because I think it's the one thing that's like that's just
Solid across the
universally
board.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas like I think actually it makes sense for overall to be rated higher. 'Cause I think people can be like, this is a really good game. It's just not necessarily innovative, or
Right.
it's just I think like if polish was in there, or like marketability or something, the game would be much higher.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, that's where we are at.
That's great though. I'm really happy with the results.
Same.
We did some good shit.
Theme graphics. Oh, PS Island's been doing percentiles as we go.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
Fred's here as well. Hello.
4th percentile. That's good. Hey, Fred. TGB chat. Yeah.
So that's how we did an LD. And
Yes.
we've said that we're going to continue making this game on stream, or something maybe that falls in the footsteps. Although yeah, Niz has told me that while he's been away, he's been thinking and he's got a game to pitch to me. I don't know how similar this is to Buried Things. It could be. I know nothing about what's about to happen. It's not.
No,
apparently.
it is similar.
Okay.
It's not going to sound similar to. Like pretty much everything is slightly different.
Okay.
But I think so. I'll pitch this to you. You don't have to like it.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all,
do I not? Oh, thank you.
No, you don't.
Okay.
No, you do. Who am I kidding? Yes, you do. 1 second.
Wait, Fred wants to tell us what's missing in our game. Talent. Fun. Good ideas.
Go ahead, Fred. Just hit us with it. Just hit us with it now. Just put me out my misery.
Is it a switch case or an array of variables?
Should have dab emotes, skins, microtransactions, DLC. I mean, I do regret not putting a dab emote in there.
I wanted loot boxes. I really wanted loot boxes.
You pushed for loot boxes really hard, actually.
That's what the merchant was supposed to do.
I tested in all the struggles of game design, but I have a lot of experience in coding in general, so I don't know if that struggles of game design. Yeah, game design's tough, man. Coding's tough.
Bye, Fishy.
You're talking about writing and publishing a book. That's tough as well. What's up? I've done that.
2 things on LCPs.
We've smashed it. But yeah, no, I mean, it is tough, but also it is mad rewarding. Like seeing the reviews that we saw, like watching people enjoy it is really fun. We definitely hit a specific audience. It was a pretty divisive game, actually. We hit a lot of people that just like didn't get it or enjoy it. And probably will have flicked through. Like I linked you like Jupiter Hadley's 6 seconds of play. Like we saw a few streams of people just being like,
"What do I do?"
Just being like not getting it or something. But then the streams we saw where people were more engaged, typically the better streamers, I have to say. Typically the smarter folk.
No bias, though. No bias.
Yeah, no bias. But clever people like our game. And dumb, stupid people don't like
Dumb idiots.
Dumb idiot.
Dumb idiot.
Dumb idiot. So yeah. But I'm into it. And the positive feedback we got was super motivating.
Yeah.
And hitting a 4-point average is really good.
Yep.
Can you see a list of
I think so.
how everyone did now? Yeah. I also will say one other thing that's going to be a bit mean, but I've seen some of the games that did better than us, and they aren't. Heartscape came second. That was pretty cool, but didn't really work. Bloodless came 4th. Unlock Everything was the game that Mega Man won that came 7th.
Right.
Nothing to Say was really cool. Hellion: The Legend of Jeff was rubbish. Memories of LF was quite rubbish. No, I shouldn't say that on stream. They weren't rubbish. Soulless was rubbish. I played a lot of these.
We played a lot of games.
I will say about a lot of the ones that I'm seeing now that have done better than us. Mm-hmm. And actually, maybe the reason that Latvian did really well as well. They're very drop-in games.
Right.
They're like 2D platformers, shooters. A couple of them are like sad, moody games. Right. A couple of really nice art styles. Tale of the Toad King. Why didn't I play that? That was cool. What do you do? I don't know. It's got lots of nice pictures of frogs, though. I like that. And presumably toads, in hindsight. There we are, buried things. We are beaten by... Oh, we beat someone that got a bronze medal. We beat the guy that got third best for theme.
Okay.
That's
Nice.
the one that we came immediately above. We only came 2 above Ubuntu, which we liked, I think.
2 above you, ball 2.
The ball and window thing. The Ubuntu.
Oh yeah,
thing.
that was cool.
We came 2 below Draconomics, which I played, and isn't very good.
Oh, I know that one.
Pretty,
Yeah, I know that one. That's the one where the different gems come towards you, right? And you have to like.
yeah, basically. What else? I want to see who smashed the trophies. Who got trophies? Who got trophies? Unlock everything. Got.
Wait, World Collector was second.
Well, Clay's got 4. Oh, third overall. Ah, okay, because they're rated by interesting. So hang on. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. 4, 8, 12, 16, 14, 4, 12, 16, 60. 64, 65. So actually, we're 66th in terms of our literal overall.
As in, like as if you combine all the scores that every game
Yeah,
got.
averaged out,
Wow. Okay.
we are 66th. I've got to assume that's how that's working because the one here, the 7th on here is unlock everything, but their overall score is third.
Right.
So they should be third in this list, but they have not done very well in innovation or humour.
Right.
So it's notched them down.
Okay.
So yeah, we're even higher based on our average ratings, which surprises me.
I wonder how our other games did if you're taking like average.
But that does sort of make sense, bearing in mind what we said. Well, it's a bit of a weird one. So there we go.
I can't even find us in the overall.
We're just one down. Yeah, World Collector is really good. I think World Collector definitely deserved to win.
Hey,
Hardscape
Dylan.
is also pretty good. Mr. Grind. You're the 3rd highest rated game here. Now, why is this done well?
Which one's this?
The 3rd one on here, Mr. Grind. Is there like a trick to it? Is it like block fractions?
There's a Mao game here, the Game of Mao, which is based on the same game as the Point of Order module in Catane is based on this card game.
Mao.
Hmm.
There we go. That was that's really fun. Oh, we beat Frogbutt. I liked Frogbutt.
Is that the one with the amazing music?
Yeah. Well, how did they do on music, on audio? They came 48th. They deserved higher. Music made me literally laugh. I'm gonna just quickly play it now, actually. What's that? It's pure up.
You can't do that.
I'm
We're
gonna.
live on stream. Oh, just play the music.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's so good. Yeah, no, that's perfect. You guys deserved better than 48. Yeah, Curiosity Game was a bit rubbish, and that is definitely displayed in your ratings here. But your audio fucking smashed it. Anyway, quite filled flames. We were beaten by some genuinely not very good games.
Shame.
I wonder how Bloodless did in its overall.
Like we were saying though, we actually didn't rate the idea that we had for our game.
No. Okay, so Bloodless, which was an 8-person team, only actually rated 7 places above us.
Wow.
They got 97th overall.
I remember.
So,
I remember in the Ludum Diary we did the first one, the 32. We beat the developers of Alien Isolation, who also took part. That was fun.
that is very good.
Hey, Zach.
We've beaten some really good people, and to be fair, the winner I think earned it.
Yeah,
Unlock
World
everything.
Collector is sick.
World Collector is a really cool, and he's just such a good developer. He's the amount of polish, and that's compo. The amount of polish that guy gets done in 48 hours is unmatchable.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, let's talk about.
Pitch me your game idea.
Right. So here's an idea. We did do on those. So Here's the sort of. It's a good picture. Here's the sort of problem that I'm having is that I have 2 ideas that are very similar.
Okay.
And one of them is something that I've already worked on and I know you like a bit, but I think would be better developed in Unity. So setting that one aside, I'm worried now that this idea might be too similar. So I'm just going to stop playing my hair as well. Okay, so we were talking about we've brainstormed a lot of this already. Just a heads up to the chat, like we've talked about a lot of ideas off stream. And so we've gone in a few different directions that we sort of both agreed that might be interesting to look at.
Right.
So one of the things that we talked about being kind of interesting was presenting clues via a sort of book or almanac.
I think that has been mentioned on stream before.
Okay.
So
we'll go over
yeah,
it
that's
again.
good. Yeah, of course, yeah.
So the clue system in Buried Things was really last minute, and actually ended up being. It could have been very interesting because really a lot of the diegetic puzzles were interesting-ish or not brilliant, or could have been much better aided with a sort of like hint as to if you were pursuing the right path. And a lot of written clues actually can be very interesting, especially if you hide a lot of the information, as you will all know, no doubt, from the fact that you're all probably subbed for Catan, which is a game that like does often require you to extrapolate a little bit of information, or at the very least translate what you're reading effectively. Now, what Catan does is often make you translate it effectively in like a time constraint, but another thing you can do is make you force you to make leaps of logic, or draw connections, or fill in blanks, or perhaps understand a kind of almost like a riddle in order to apply the knowledge that you've got from your clue. So, with that said, I really like this idea of having some kind of like companion tome that is basically giving you clues where to find things. Now, the place that I think it would be fun to deviate is rather than just finding and digging up treasures, and it's another thing me and Matt talked about, maybe on stream, is finding animals. And specifically photographing animals.
Yeah.
Now, this is the idea that I've really honed in on this photographing thing.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily have to just be animals. It can be just photographing is the main mechanic, I think.
Yeah, maybe you're going out and
not
shooting like a
necessarily
nature documentary or something.
So here's what I'm thinking, right? Is it's sort of Pokemon Snap-esque in that you have to get pictures of things, and you don't just have to get pictures of them, but sometimes you have to get pictures of them doing specific things,
Right.
or you will get more rewarded by getting pictures of them doing specific things.
Right.
So you are on an island.
Do you start there?
You actually do. You're on an island, and you have basically been tasked with collecting photos. And I have a kind of vague narrative in my head about this, but if we just dodge narrative to one side and just think mechanically,
Yep.
you have like kind of radio comms with someone back home who is requesting specific photos, and they basically just keep giving you task lists of like, get me a this and a this and a this, and if you can, get me a this and a this as well.
Yeah.
I want a picture of this thing, and that's good enough. But if you get a picture of it doing this, I think we're going to get really rewarded.
Yeah.
And so as you go on, you basically get this task list, and you have to get these photos. And when you do collect those photos, you get sent things from home.
Okay.
So, a la kind of like Hunger Games, they
That's
basically
exactly what I
airdrop.
was thinking of just when you said
Yeah.
that.
Okay, cool.
getting
They
the
basically
getting the little
airdrop
airdrop.
packages
Yeah.
onto your island. And actually, though, where packages are airdropped, it's not always airdropped to you. It's not just like the middle spot.
Right.
Their airdrops like are constantly either like blown off course, and it's like a comedic thing, or they're just dropped to a specific location because that was what was convenient.
Right.
So you'll be like, okay, one of the first things we give you is like a camera flash. Is one of the things I was talking to you about, because camera flash lets you go to dark places.
Okay.
And you can you can take photos in the dark. You can take photos at night now. It could be one of the early things you get. Because maybe you have to think about daylight a bit more than at the beginning, or like lighting things artificially. And this lets you take photos in the dark now, and also maybe lets you light up dark areas.
Right.
They'll send you other things like we've got you like a kind of a climbing kit or something, or like and something like it's like a rubber dinghy that lets you traverse water or something. And so you get given these little gating tools
Yeah.
by collecting more pictures, and that lets us kind of gate off certain things. And then you can also kind of Metroidvania-y retroactively fill up your almanac with things that you wouldn't have been able to do. So one of the puzzles, PS Armand 3000 edition. This would be artistically basically the same style as buried things.
Yeah,
because
top
it's something
down.
you can smash through really quickly, top down. And I want to be able to smash through the idea fairly quickly, see if it's fun, and then expand it. Which is another thing we talked about doing, is trying to evoke something of that game jam dev cycle.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so the actual mechanics of photographing stuff can kind of be like a sort of we've talked about maybe having to like try and draw a frame around something, or try and like
Keep something
hold it
within
in,
a certain like
keep
rectangular
something within a circle
spot
that's
on
like
the
getting
screen.
smaller, or yeah, like almost like those games where you have to. I don't know. I'm thinking about some mechanics right now. But the games where you have to like slowly pen in a bouncing ball by like cordoning off.
Oh yeah, like fillet and
Yeah, like those kind of things.
Fortix
We can do
and
stuff that
I
feels
don't
a
remember
bit
what the
more.
original one's called.
I don't remember. But games that are a bit more like gamey like that, we can try and work something like that into having to kind of like have a frame that's like slowly shrinking and try and make sure that it all stays around the thing or whatever. I don't know. Or just having to get the snap of it correctly by like pointing the camera might have a depth of field adjuster that you need to like slide around or something. A couple of things that's it. For the most part, taking the photo isn't the hard bit. It's getting the situation that the photo requires to occur. So I was actually talking to Ash about this when we were in California, and she was like, "Oh, reminds me of Pokemon Snap." She's like, "Yeah, correct." And she's like, one of the things the puzzle she remembered from Pokemon Snap is the puzzle I remembered from Pokemon Snap, which is there's like a Charmander on the side of a volcano,
right.
and you can throw something at it to knock it into the volcano, and if you do, it comes out as a Charmeleon or a Charizard.
Right.
Because it says it in the Pokedex that if they're exposed to really high heats or something like that. And so basically that one interaction is something that I think would be really fun to replicate, is if you do have a kind of almanac-y guide to the animals that you can like search for, you can work out how to elicit certain scenarios. So one of the things I was thinking is the creatures, the whoop whoop bird is really hunts at night and is really scared of artificial light,
right?
Because it knows hunters have been on the island or whatever. But natural light sources, it's still fine with. So like if you can find like an exposed area with like a moon glade, maybe get it, or you can just grab some fireflies and put them in a jar, and it doesn't read that as fire or something like that. Animals that are scared of fire, animals that are attracted to fire, animals that are attracted to certain sounds that you can maybe try and have to replicate. Things like that, in order to get them to come to certain places, and then to see them performing things like courtship rituals, or like you want to get photos of their young, so you have to follow them back to the nest. You have to track tracks and things. These are all the kinds of puzzles, one-off puzzles that we can put in, with the same kind of overall mechanic of find them and photograph them. That's currently where my brain's at, and I think that being able to transfer those pictures back over in order to get them to then send you stuff to give you like a mechanical advantage is basically, I don't know, that's not really going around and digging, but it is sort of the same gameplay loop as buried things.
I wonder if starting with a book, because the way I saw starting with a book was that it would all make very little sense. Like it wouldn't mean anything to you early on, and you'd have to slowly like work out what those things actually meant. It sounds like what you're pitching here is that the starting book would be an almanac that is written in English and has clues. Sorry, I just dropped something.
Well,
Clues
actually, I mean, to be honest, no.
No?
There wouldn't even have, like, you could even have it written in runes. I was thinking of having the book feel like an incomplete source of knowledge, but basically you have to lean on it to find stuff. So I was saying to you, like, one of the things we were talking about with the book a while ago was some of the animals have like drawn silhouettes, and also we can like difficulty curve out the puzzles by doing it. So the book's like partially completed, and or is just completed to the best of this one explorer's capacity. Some of them have drawn silhouettes, some of them are not drawn and are just referenced. Some have written descriptions of what they look like.
Right.
Some have like specifics on how you get them to do a thing. Some have vague ideas of how things are done. Some just kind of like imply that there might be a way to discover this, or I don't think the book would be like literally like a written list of instructions. I think maybe a couple of early puzzles would be, but I think for the most part, you could even have it written in not even in, it wouldn't even have to be in English. That would be really interesting as well, actually, if it's like written in like a runic language or something. And it's mostly just, that might be a bit too much of a stretch, to be fair. At that point, you're getting towards something like Apti, but having it be like very incomplete, I think would be pretty interesting.
If it was just written in runes, though, the way this book's laid out is still a little bit different. Because what would happen is, as soon as you can translate the language, let's say it was like an Albed Primer situation, or a Fez symbols, as soon as you know it, you can read the whole thing.
Yeah.
Which means the book is all solved simultaneously once you can read the language. And the way I was thinking of the book is that it's more like, I mean, learning the language would help you solve bits, but then there's still a lot of like cryptic puzzles and stuff, working out what constellations mean and why this tree is relevant and what this god means and what he is the god of and that kind of stuff.
I think you can do a lot of that, to be fair. I wasn't actually initially thinking it wouldn't be in English, but I was thinking of it as being incomplete. And I guess what you're saying is more like a kind of decoding the nature of like the who's written it and what like discovering a kind of big mystery through that, which I guess is something we could do as well. But I'm just talking about in terms of moment-to-moment gameplay. I think that should be basically information in the book that helps you get a photo.
Because the reason I'm bringing that up is that it sounds like for this game that you're pitching, I wonder whether it would serve the same purpose without using up the book idea, I suppose, to just get information about the things you're trying to photograph by like just sending, like, let's say that you want to get this animal doing this specific thing as one of your pictures, and you're saying that, well, the almanac might hint how you get it to do the special thing. But would it maybe effectively be the same thing to just, take a picture of the animal, send it off, and you receive a message back saying, oh, that's this, you found one of those, wow, can you get it doing this?
Yeah, you could definitely do it without the book. I mean, another thing I was thinking of is if you thought of it like in Metal Gear Solid, you've got your codec, right? And you've got codec contacts. Do you ever play Metal Gear?
Only 5.
Okay, well, Metal Gear 1, you have a codec, which is just like phone. But there's like, you have a bunch of entries in your codec and you can call them at any given time, and they all sort of have specific things they can help you with. So you could have one of your codec guide things be like your boss who tells you what you need to get and kind of reminds you. It's almost like your quest tracker.
Okay.
You have a codec which is like your fauna guy
that
you can talk to and ask for clues on your like current quests. Kind of like another game that does a really good job of this is Final Fantasy 12.
Okay.
The marks. The hunts.
Yeah.
You'll get some hunts that are from the boards that very specifically tell you where to go.
Yep.
And then the ones that you get from the clan hall.
Yeah, they're just like hints, right, as to like where to go.
They're pretty cryptic, and then there's a guy you can talk to in the clan hall that will give you like an additional clue.
Right.
You could kind of do that where actually the clues are fed to you by a character.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a couple of characters you can talk to that will give you like additional clues, and maybe you can get them more information that will help them get you more clues.
Mm-hmm.
Like yeah, like I'm doing some research on this thing. Like if you can find me a picture of its tracks or something.
Mhm.
Maybe, so you're constantly like finding things, sending photos, sending it back, and getting more information to find more things. You could do that without a book. Yeah.
Right.
And I think that could be interesting. Uh, I haven't pinned down a specific like narrative deal, but I think that finding and photographing and getting immediate feedback on what you've got and using that as like a tool
Mhm.
is more interesting than digging artifacts. And also, I think specifically finding those things, the feedback loop of then having an offshore thingy send you goods
Right.
that ends up being like either a way to get out of a gate, like a kind of Pokemon HM,
Mhm.
or a new mechanic.
Right.
Um, could be a really fun way of like keeping the pace up for the game and motivating you to like, why am I doing this? You know, what's the difference between this, getting a photo of this, and getting a photo of this? It's like, well, specifically, if you can get this, then you can, and you can even have like batches. Like if you finished even if it's like cosmetic or something, like if you finished we've got all of the information on the woo woo bird, like that gives you something specific.
Yeah.
So you can like choose, oh, I want to pursue that thing, or
Yeah.
like characters can ask you for certain things, like I really want a picture of this. It doesn't even all have to be for the guy who's gonna the boss man. Like there can be other people asking for photos of specific things. Like maybe the boss man wants you to get pictures of animals, and that's that thing. But there's a character that really wants pictures of like the architecture. There's like ruins of the civilization.
Right.
Like I
Maybe
really want
finishing.
that.
Sorry, what was it?
I was just saying, like, yeah. So, like, let's say if you have like a codec or whatever,
Yep.
you could have like a character who's really fascinated by the ruins on the island and feels like they're going to be able to help you understand like the civilization that lived there, or find some other mystical thing.
Right.
And be like, while you're out on your journey, do me a favor and send me photos of any ruins. I think I might be able to get like a feed on that. And there's someone that's really interested in like the flora of the region, and maybe they can like give you like small, less like gated finish the game rewards,
Right.
and more like little interesting toy rewards, or like almost like side quests.
Okay.
Maybe one of the things we were talking about is having the overall end of a game where you're looking for stuff, be hunting for like a mythical creature,
Yeah.
like a very specific like long lost creature, and maybe one of the codec characters is like, I think that like that's my quest. We're here to find one thing, and I think I've been reading up, and I think the next thing that we need to find is it interacts with these things, and it'd be interesting if you can find a red feather among these things. We'll know for sure that it's definitely communed with this particular species.
Right.
We think that this species has like a kind of symbiotic, cleans its fur scenario, but I think it's in hibernation right now. But if you can find, it's like one of its feathers among the species, I'll know for sure that's true, and I'll be onto something. And you can like have little different like lines to pursue.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, and simultaneously, what you're doing is always the same. Go somewhere, find the right thing based on the information you've been given, take a photo of it.
I do like the narrative idea of like you are filming a nature documentary, and it could be the case that like your NPC is essentially your director, saying,
Yeah.
"We want to do an episode on this thing, on this animal.
Right. Okay.
We need to like," and when you finish that entire like animal quest line, that's when the episode airs,
Sure.
and it's people seeing that and going, "Ooh, can we get an episode on this?" So you're unlocking new avenues, new animals and things
I mean,
by
one of
finishing
my
other ones.
closest friends and girl who lives on my street, Alyssa Mello,
Mhm.
is a nature documentarian, so we can ask her about lots of these things.
Sick.
It's her literal job. And actually lots of my friends, although they all live in Bristol now, which is really annoying. Except Alyssa, she lives 10 minutes away.
I'm going to quickly back up through chat as well because I missed a few things.
Yeah, I missed all of this.
I liked Steve's idea about like if it was an almanac situation. It's a Victorian almanac with sketches of stuff and no one believes it's real, so you've come to find photos of it to prove it.
Idea.
I like that. What else have we got here? Make the game similar to Madara Real Estate. Madara Real Estate, except you need to compile information yourself and use other resources. The game's similar to Darker Real Estate. Darker Real Estate is like a very specific. You haven't played that yet, have you? It's really good.
No, I did watch a video.
It's very specific kind of puzzle solving because the puzzle is often working out the layout of the building that you're in. Specifically because you can't move around in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you translate that to a game where you can move around, because they monopolized on the fact that they didn't have a way of walking.
It's very cool.
It is cool. That's definitely an art from adversity game. Yeah. We couldn't even get you to walk. That would have been very hard.
So often brilliant ideas are born from such structures.
Yeah, maybe we should mention like other potential ideas that we had for, because we've discussed a few things, and yeah, by all means, add an idea, Steve. Off stream, we've discussed a few things related to this. Other ideas that we've had is I mentioned maybe that you're like a park ranger in a forest, and we could actually.
Have you played Firewatch?
No, I haven't.
Because you do play a park ranger in a big forest.
Okay.
Lot of these pitch the thing, because I'm sure it'll be different.
Sure. Well, it's so. Actually, let me back up. One of the things that we talked about is maybe adding some survival elements to the game.
Yeah.
So it's the puzzle solving loop essentially from Buried Things, same kind of deal. You're going around digging by using environmental clues, but you're also surviving a la Don't Starve. I don't know to what extent the survival would play a part in the game, like how difficult it would be to survive. I don't think I was imagining it to be as difficult as something like a Don't Starve, where the survival is a bit more casual, I suppose. Just because the game feels very casual in my head. But yeah, just you're having to gather resources, you're having to feed and shelter yourself. Going into new areas is often gated by the survival aspect, so maybe there's a cold area that you need to be getting warm clothes to go into and that kind of stuff. So maybe adding survival elements was one thing that we were thinking. And then yeah, like another idea in that vein would be if you were a park ranger in a forest, and instead of it being your survival, you've got kind of a job which is to maintain the forest that you're in, so maybe just checking that certain species are where they should be, they're not dying off or whatever, checking that the plants are in good health and what have you. And part of your digging mechanic could actually be not just digging up artifacts, but you're actually digging to till soil or move plants from one place to another to try and keep the ecosystems going, or to uproot a plant that's got a contagious disease that you don't want to spread to the forest around it. And the game begins without dealing with the artifact at all. You do some park rangering, you do some digging, and then it happens that like at one point you're digging a tree up that's dying of like mold and you don't want it to spread, and you find an artifact underneath the tree that suggests that there's a lot more artifacts around to find, and you realize there's actually things have been buried in this forest for you to find. And then the digging becomes more about digging up artifacts. So that's also a couple other directions that were discussed as well. And there were probably other things that we talked about.
Yeah, we talked about a lot. I think, I've definitely wandered over towards the
photography,
animals, and the photography thing. I think maybe just because the digging, I was like, what can we replace that with? It's still mechanically simple, but fundamentally feels like we're making the same kind of game. But then I got so lost in the behavior and the nature of animals thing. Like, we're thinking a lot about the paper acre as well, but I do think that suits being 3D and I've done that for a long time as well.
Here's another mentioned mechanic. Again, goes in a slightly different direction. We've got lots of threads that all kind of spread away from each other, and they don't quite work together, especially since we want to scope down. But yeah, another thing that was mentioned is maybe something that's kind of more turn-based. So
right,
and that there was an idea that I had for a game a while ago that kind of starts sounding very similar to this idea, where it's almost kind of Pokemon-y, where there's lots of species around, and you're trying to, like, quote unquote catch these species by getting into these turn-based, almost like chess games with them, where they have certain moves and stuff like that, and you look at their behaviors, I guess it's like turn-based kind of Dark Souls where they have move sets, and you
Yeah,
need to react to their move sets. Or it's kind of I guess it's kind of D&D that was mentioned in chat.
it's kind of like it's what so sounds like you're talking about something like Into the Breach.
Yeah, you are because like maybe you're using their attack patterns against them in order to catch them. Well, you have to do certain actions in order to actually trap the animal that you're looking to catch. So it's not just a case of in most turn-based stuff, you're trying to do damage, right? You've got various attacks that are different ways of ultimately achieving one goal, which is
Yeah,
do enough damage to kill the enemy. This is a bit more, I guess, like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. I've never really played that, so maybe
I didn't
that's
really
not
like that.
a,
But I know Into the Breach rather mostly actually ends up not being about dealing damage things, but moving them around.
moving around. Yep, which I think
Um,
maybe
yeah, and it's
how this one would
it's
feel.
a brilliant game as well. Um, we've always said if you're going to look at games to rip off the best ones. Um, which is why, which is I think another reason that I got really stuck on this catching animals thing because we always talk about ripping off Ape Escape because it's just the best. It's just the best game ever made, and it's been done such little justice. Like even the original game is like still like not that good, but you know that they just had the best idea in the world. Um, so it's also why I get stuck on playing Breaker a lot because it's just a game about catching things, catching animals with the like wacky little behaviors. Um, but yeah, I mean, we definitely need to um, work out a game that we can keep scoped low and that we're both on the same page about, and then hit the ground running on it. Because I do think that there's a real chance that we can get something pretty cool on the way to being made, on the way to being, you know,
Yeah, like maybe in a
a
couple of
big,
weeks, really.
yeah, really. Uh, true.
It's just saying, okay, this is the one that we're doing. Because I'm really kind of okay with um, any of the ideas we've pitched. Really, they're all good in their own ways.
Yeah,
I
we just need to
maybe
get psyched up, really. I mean, actually, to be honest, we weren't even that psyched up about various things. But we do need to agree, and we need to like maybe get the design doc down so that we both know we're making the same game, and
maybe
also answer some of the unanswered questions about some of these games.
yeah. Maybe it depends on who we essentially decide is just going to be the project lead on this. Like if we just say, we'll just like you're going to be the one who plans the, the path, the progression path through the game, kind of naturally leads that we're going to do your idea and we'll go for the photography one.
Maybe, yeah. I will say I'm not necessarily pitching this with a big structure in mind. I'm mainly pitching for like getting small mechanics done because
Yeah.
I like, for example, with photograph, like sort of the photography game, like Steve there you said on that photo with the Hunger Game style drops. Some of the drops are needed to get the photos. Like 100%, that's how I would gate the thing, but I have no idea how really. The only idea that I had that I pitched to you was like a flash on a camera would be like a cool thing,
Right.
but I don't even know. Like it wouldn't even have to be that. Like just getting the tools that let you get to new places and find new things. It's just a nice way to gate it. But I have no idea how it begins or ends. I got maybe like talking about this, like talking to people and getting um, each one almost having like their own little quest line as rather than having like a book that you refer back to is like having a bunch of different characters that all want different things. I think could be really cool. Like maybe find a way to pitch a narrative around that. But for the most part, like in terms of every puzzle and how every animal works and where everything is hidden and what's interesting, I got nothing. Like that's where we just have to collab basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of like being a project lead, I mean, I'll just art lead is really the only thing that I'm fussed about being.
Sure. Okay.
But yeah, we should land on one of these ideas, and we should both think about the same thing. This is why I wanted to get a like something like an artsy pitch doc. Because I think if we could look at the same thing, if we were seeing the same game, I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, let's make that.
Yeah.
But it's just coming to an agreement on that, and we maybe we do still need to throw ideas around, and make sure that it's something we can get done in the same kind of fashion we got buried things done. Because I would love to work in Unity, but it would be such a slower process.
Yeah, we
We
got
did.
a ton done using GameMaker. That was
Hey?
good. We just got a ton done using GameMaker.
Yeah, we did, and it was really fluid in terms of like getting something made and then seeing it in
Yeah.
action. And like I said, like I mean, regardless of fucking 104th overall, like the polish was better than almost all of the games we saw. Really, in terms of getting like a splash and a cutscene and having all that stuff in speedy. It's just crazy to get that done. It feels really satisfying. Yeah, we'll have to land on something.
Yeah. I guess that maybe kind of wraps up the stream.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for watching, everyone. And next time we come to you, it's probably going to be the first dev stream where we're actually like making stuff.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe.
Next time,
Hopefully.
have you seen me anyway? Unless someone desperately wants to see me miss an aerial in Rocket League with intermittent ping.
All right, yeah. We'll catch everyone later, and I'm very much looking forward to making a bigger game than Buried Things on stream.
Yeah, awesome.
All
See you later, guys.
Bye, everyone.